Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the shadows, into a tale of eternal night, unquenchable thirst, and a revenge that spans centuries. We're going to unravel the story of the first vampire. Who was this original creature of the night, and what tragic events forged them into the legend we know today? Forget what you think you know from movies and books. The true story is far more human and far more heartbreaking. It begins not in a Gothic castle, but in the sun-drenched plains of ancient Sumeria, with a man named Ambrogio. He wasn't a king or a great warrior. He was a simple scribe, a man of letters and quiet contemplation, deeply in love with a temple priestess named Selene. Ambrogio was intelligent, kind, and devoted. But he was also born under an unlucky star. From birth he was frail, plagued by a strange ailment that left him perpetually weak and pale. Doctors had no name for it, no cure. Despite his physical weakness, his mind was sharp and his heart was pure. He spent his days chronicling the history of his people and his nights dreaming of a life with Selene. Selene was the light of his life. Her name meant moon, and just like the moon, she ruled the tides of his heart. She saw past his physical frailty and loved the gentle soul within. They would meet in secret, under the watchful eyes of the ziggurat, sharing dreams and whispered promises. They planned to ask her father, the high priest, for his blessing to marry. But fate, as it often does, had a cruel twist in store. A powerful and ruthless warlord, a man known for his brutality and greed, set his eyes upon Selene. He didn't care for her heart or her mind. He saw her as another beautiful object to possess, a prize to add to his collection. He approached her father, not with pleas, but with threats and offers of immense wealth and power. The high priest, a man who valued status and security above all else, was easily swayed. He forbade Selene from ever seeing Ambrogio again, and announced her betrothal to the warlord. Selene was devastated, trapped in a golden cage. Ambrogio's world shattered. The one light in his life was about to be extinguished by the darkness of a tyrant's ambition. Desperate and heartbroken, Ambrogio refused to accept this fate. He sought out every healer, every mystic, every charlatan in the city, begging for a cure to his weakness, for strength to fight for his love. He offered all he had, but no one could help him. He was losing hope. In his darkest hour, he heard whispers of a forgotten god, a deity of shadows and forbidden knowledge, who was said to dwell in a hidden cave deep in the desert. With nothing left to lose, Ambrogio embarked on a perilous journey. The desert sun, which had always been his enemy, now beat down on him mercilessly. He was weak, dehydrated, and on the verge of collapse when he finally stumbled upon the cave. Inside, the air was cold and the darkness was absolute. He called out into the void, his voice trembling. From the depths of the cave, a voice answered, a voice that was ancient and powerful. It belonged to the forgotten god. The deity listened to Ambrogio's plea, to his tale of lost love and despair. The god saw the purity of his heart and the depth of his pain. He offered Ambrogio a deal. The god would grant him not just strength, but eternal life. He would be faster, stronger, and more powerful than any mortal man. He would have the power to challenge the warlord and reclaim his love. But this gift came at a terrible price. He would be forever cursed to walk in darkness, for the sun would become his mortal enemy, its touch turning him to ash. He would also be cursed with an insatiable thirst for the life force of others, for human blood. He would become a hunter, a creature of the night. Ambrogio hesitated. The price was monstrous. To become a monster to save the one he loved? But the thought of Selene in the arms of the brutal warlord was a pain worse than any damnation. With a heavy heart, he accepted the god's dark pact. A searing pain coursed through him as the transformation began. His body was remade, his senses heightened, his heart stilled. When it was over, Ambrogio, the gentle scribe, was gone. In his place stood something new, something terrifying. The first vampire. He returned to the city under the cover of night, a changed being. He was no longer frail. He moved like a shadow, with a predatory grace. The familiar streets of his home now seemed alien, filled with the tantalizing scent of life. the rhythmic pulse of hearts that called to his newfound hunger. He fought the urge, his humanity clinging on by a thread, his focus singular. Selene. He found the warlord's compound, a fortress bristling with guards. Before it would have been impenetrable. Now the walls were mere suggestions. He slipped past the sentries as if they were statues, a phantom in the night. He found the warlord in his chambers, arrogant and drunk on power, gloating about his impending marriage. The confrontation was swift and brutal. The warlord, a feared warrior, was like a child before Ambrogio's new power. He didn't stand a chance. Ambrogio's rage, fueled by a century of heartbreak and a newfound predatory instinct, was overwhelming. In that moment, he wasn't just saving Selene, he was avenging his stolen life. And as he vanquished his rival, he gave in to the thirst for the first time. The warlord became his first victim. With the tyrant gone, he raced to find Selene. He found her locked in her chambers, praying to the moon for a miracle. When she saw him, she gasped. He looked the same, yet entirely different. There was a power in his eyes, a dangerous stillness to his posture. He told her everything, the journey, the god, the curse. He explained that he had done it all for her, that they could finally be together, forever. But Selene looked at him with fear, not love. She saw not her gentle Ambrogio, but a monster born of shadow. She saw the faint traces of blood on his lips and recoiled in horror. She was a priestess of light, and he was now a creature of absolute darkness. Their paths had diverged in the most tragic way imaginable. Heartbroken, Selene made a choice. She could not live in his world of shadow, and she could not bear the world without the man he used to be. As the sun began to rise, she told him she could not join him in his cursed existence. Then, in an act of ultimate despair, she took her own life, choosing oblivion over a life with or without him. Ambrogio was shattered. The entire purpose of his damnation, the reason for his monstrous transformation, was gone. He had become a monster for nothing. As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, he fled into the shadows, the screams of his own soul echoing in the silence. The sun, once just a source of discomfort, was now a symbol of everything he had lost: his love, his humanity, his hope. And so began his long, lonely revenge. But it was not a revenge against any single person. It was a war against fate itself. It was a war against the sun that had stolen his love, and against the thirst that constantly reminded him of his monstrous nature. He roamed the earth for centuries, a solitary figure cloaked in sorrow. Over the millennia, he created others, hoping to find companionship, to create a family to replace the one he lost. But each new vampire was just a reflection of his own curse, another soul damned to the same eternal hunger and loneliness. His progeny spread across the world, creating their own legends, their own tales of terror and romance, but all of them stemmed from one man's tragic choice. The story of the vampire is not one of a demon or a devil. It is the story of Ambrogio. It is a story of profound love and devastating loss. It's a reminder that even the darkest legends can have their origins in the most human of emotions, a desperate, undying love and the all-consuming grief that follows. The creature we fear is, in its very essence, a monument to a broken heart. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the dark heart of history. I hope this story gave you a new perspective on one of our most enduring myths. If you enjoyed this dive into forgotten lore, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories from the shadows. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay curious.